Hello everyone, and welcome to Dinar Shift. If you have been holding the Iraqi dinar or have followed the trajectory of this particular currency for many years now, wondering precisely when a verifiable and significant event would finally occur, then the update we are sharing today warrants your immediate and focused attention. What is beginning to manifest in 2025 is fundamentally different from the cyclical, rumor-driven excitement, recycled online hype, or mere internet speculation that has characterized the narrative for so long. This is about observing genuine movement, verifiable signals, and tangible structural changes taking place around the Iraqi dinar within the global foreign exchange, or Forex, marketplace. Many committed, long-time holders have exercised extraordinary patience, some waiting patiently for a decade or more, and today, the prevailing conversation has shifted from the theoretical question of if a change would happen to the practical discussion of how one should strategically prepare. It is essential to stay engaged with this entire report, because understanding the precise nature of the current developments and learning how to respond to them calmly and strategically could be the key factor in how this developing moment ultimately impacts your individual situation. The Iraqi dinar has, without a doubt, established itself as one of the most closely watched and intensely discussed currencies in modern financial history. For years, the dedicated holder community has operated from the core belief that the dinar was significantly undervalued when considered against the immense backdrop of Iraq's natural resources, its fundamental economic potential, and its undeniable strategic importance within the broader regional landscape. The country's vast, world-class oil reserves, the ongoing nation rebuilding and infrastructure development efforts, the increasing number of international partnerships being solidified, and the implementation of crucial domestic banking reforms have all consistently formed the optimistic basis of the long-term narrative. However, until very recently, these foundational economic strengths were not consistently or clearly being reflected in the observable behavior within the international Forex market. That is precisely what sets the current period of 2025 apart from all previous cycles. We are now observing fluctuations, indicators, and overall behaviors that strongly suggest the dinar is starting to be treated with a much higher degree of seriousness and recognition within established global financial systems. It is crucial to understand that this significant shift has not occurred overnight. It has been a gradual process building upon years of incremental reforms. However, this process has now reached a critical threshold, a point where it can no longer be reasonably ignored, either by institutional investors, global financial entities, or by the long-time holders who have been patiently waiting for empirical validation of their years-long belief. This represents a verifiable and fundamental shift in the currency's standing. One of the most consequential developments is the increasingly formalized manner in which the Iraqi dinar is being acknowledged, tracked, and incorporated into international banking conversations and essential Forex-related systems. This recognition does not in any way equate to a promise of instant, risk-free wealth or any guaranteed positive outcomes for holders. Instead, it powerfully signals that deep-seated structural changes are in fact taking place beneath the surface of the Iraqi financial architecture. These foundational changes encompass a rigorous alignment with established global banking practices, the demonstration of greater monetary discipline by the central bank, and a tighter, more credible integration with verifiable international financial standards and regulations. When a national currency begins to exhibit this kind of consistent, measured behavior, rather than the long-term stagnation that previously defined its performance, it naturally attracts the keen attention of influential institutions that had previously chosen to remain on the sidelines. For the individual holder, this external validation is extremely important because sustainable value is never created by hope or speculation alone. True, lasting value is generated only when the international markets, in a measurable and sustained way, begin to formally recognize and actively respond to real-world economic and financial reforms. This attention from serious institutional players is a key ingredient to sustained, credible movement. In the simplest terms, what we are witnessing now is the clear appearance of observable movement in a space that was previously characterized by a profound and frustrating silence. For many years, the dinar appeared almost frozen in place, showing little to no visible real-time change that a holder could meaningfully track or verify. Now, a consistent pattern of fluctuations, adjustments, and verifiable measurable behaviors are being observed on the global financial screen. These newly visible movements are effectively creating a renewed and necessary focus on personal timing, strategic preparation, and the development of a disciplined personal strategy. This is a situation that mandates awareness and readiness. It is vital to reiterate that this current environment does not and cannot mean that every holder is suddenly poised to become wealthy overnight. What it definitively signifies is that the underlying financial environment is changing, and historical precedent shows that changing financial environments consistently reward those who have taken the time to be calmly, methodically prepared, rather than those who are driven to react emotionally or impulsively. Understanding this critical difference between preparation and reaction is absolutely necessary, because emotional, fear-driven decisions made during fast-moving financial moments are historically what most often lead to significant future regret. The emphasis must remain on a clear and logical approach. Let us now focus on the specific reasons why longtime holders, who have exercised such remarkable patience, are now paying such intensely close attention to the developments unfolding in 2025. Many individuals originally acquired their Iraqi Dinar holdings many years ago, often purchasing it at extremely low valuations, typically during periods of profound instability or high geopolitical uncertainty within the region. Their foundational premise was a belief that the long-term eventual recovery and stabilization of Iraq's economy would ultimately be reflected in the commensurate recovery and revaluation of its national currency. For a very long time, this hopeful belief felt both distant and highly uncertain, making the waiting period particularly challenging. Now, in 2025, the conversation has logically and factually shifted away from distant, theoretical possibilities toward very tangible potential outcomes that are visibly connected to structural reforms. Even a relatively modest fractional change in the currency's official valuation, given the often substantial amounts held by long-time investors, can have profoundly significant and life-altering effects for their overall financial outlook. This is the underlying reason why you hear discussions about genuinely life-changing possibilities within the holder community. Conversely, this is also precisely why an attitude of strict discipline, realism, and factual grounding are more important now than they have ever been previously. The element of timing plays an incredibly outsized role in all Forex-related opportunities. Currency movements are unforgiving. They do not wait for every single person to feel completely ready to act. Crucial exchange windows can sometimes open and, just as rapidly, close, often within a short period of mere hours or a few days. This is the core reason why thorough logistical preparation matters far more than attempting to make an impossible, precise prediction about future rates or dates. You do not need to successfully guess the exact future valuation to be ready to act with confidence. Instead, you critically require clear, verified documentation, established, compliant banking relationships, and a well-articulate, actionable plan of attack. Countless missed opportunities throughout financial history were not lost because the people involved were fundamentally wrong about the underlying value of an asset. Rather, those opportunities were lost because the people were completely unprepared when the necessary moment for decisive, immediate action finally arrived. This profound lesson is one that applies with incredible force and relevance to every dinar holder today. Right now, the preparation process must begin with a complete and thorough understanding of exactly what you legally and physically hold. This involves meticulously verifying your documented or physical dinar, ensuring its unquestionable legitimacy, confirming it is properly and securely stored, and that it is fully accounted for within your personal records. Furthermore, preparation demands an accurate and verified understanding of precisely where and how any potential exchanges can be legally, safely, and compliantly conducted. It is a critical error to rely on unverified, unofficial channels, to trust sensational claims circulating online, or to make decisions based on unchecked promises made on social media platforms. Such risky reliance can unnecessarily expose any holder to significant risk, especially during moments when the currency is receiving heightened international attention. The incidence of scams and the rapid proliferation of misleading misinformation always increase rapidly when significant money and excitement intersect. Staying strictly grounded in verified, fact-based processes is not a matter of fear or excessive caution. It is an act of responsible self-protection during a period when high excitement has the very real potential to profoundly cloud sound judgment. Monitoring the broader, verifiable Forex environment is another absolutely key ongoing step. You do not have to become a professional day-to-day trader to stay well-informed, but you do require a state of constant awareness. By consistently watching general market trends, grasping the fundamental direction of the currency, and recognizing when markets are demonstrably active and focused, you put yourself in a position to respond intelligently instead of simply panicking. Forex movement is continuously influenced by a complex interplay of global economic confidence, clear and verifiable economic signals from the country in question, and overall institutional behavior. When these important factors successfully align, any observable currency movement becomes significantly more meaningful and sustainable. This is the exact reason why many of the most experienced and successful holders consistently emphasize the necessary combination of patience coupled with an active state of readiness. They are not rushing into premature or emotional decisions, but they are also certainly not ignoring the very clear developments and signals that are actively unfolding in the marketplace. A meticulously planned strategy is the essential element that logically separates genuine opportunity from potential chaos or regret. A robust strategy involves knowing, before the action is required, how much of your holding you might consider exchanging, the exact conditions under which you would choose to act, and what specific data points would serve to trigger a clear, predetermined decision. Equally important is knowing and defining what you explicitly will not do. Emotional, reactive decisions often compel people to act on the entirety of their holdings all at once, without fully thinking through the downstream, financial and tax consequences. A well-considered calm strategy provides you with the crucial flexibility to move in calculated stages if necessary, to reassess the prevailing conditions as they unfold, and to effectively protect yourself from the negative impacts of sudden, unexpected shifts in the market. In these intense Forex-related moments, a disciplined, reasoned flexibility, consistently combined with an ironclad discipline, is often significantly more valuable and protective than attempting to prioritize pure speed alone. The ability to pivot based on facts is paramount to success. Banking readiness stands as a knot. Her absolutely critical piece of this strategic puzzle. Any legitimate, high-value exchange process necessarily involves strict compliance, detailed verification procedures, and the flawless production of required documentation. Banks, worldwide, operate under extremely strict regulatory mandates, and this regulatory pressure only heightens during periods of increased international currency attention and volatility. Incomplete paperwork, an unclear account status, or a desperate last-minute scramble to organize your affairs can and will significantly delay or entirely complicate any exchange opportunity. This is the precise reason why experienced and disciplined holders always begin their preparations months in advance, well before any action is required. They proactively confirm the status and compliance of their accounts, they seek to thoroughly understand the necessary banking procedures, and they ensure that every piece of required documentation is perfectly in place before the necessary moment of action arrives. Comprehensive preparation cannot and does not guarantee a positive profit, but a lack of methodical preparation almost guarantees a period of intense frustration, missed opportunities, and unnecessary logistical challenges. The concept of urgency in this context does not mean panic, it means maintaining a constant state of factual awareness. The current, verifiable Dinar movement is attracting substantial, focused attention, not just from the individual holder community, but also from major international financial institutions, powerful national governments, and influential international financial players. This elevated level of external, global attention fundamentally changes the overall market psychology. Confidence in the reform process builds, speculation about the future naturally increases, and overall market volatility has the potential to rise. Significantly, during these highly charged moments, rumors and unverified information have the capacity to spread with incredible speed. Some of these unverified claims will sound entirely convincing, while others will wildly promise miraculous shortcuts or specialized, secret access to exchange opportunities. Staying strictly grounded in verified, independently sourced information and fact is the most reliable way to protect yourself from making decisions based solely on market noise, rather than on clear, actionable data. Maintaining this factual foundation is paramount to preserving capital and strategic advantage. Emotional control is undeniably one of the most consistently underrated and powerful factors in determining positive financial outcomes. The common fear of missing out, or FOMO, can often prematurely push people to act too quickly, making potentially costly mistakes. Conversely, a crippling fear of loss can cause people to completely freeze and fail to act at all, even when the conditions are ideal. Neither of these emotional extremes is remotely helpful or conducive to rational action. A calm, methodical, and data-driven decision-making process allows you to assess the available information clearly and act only when the conditions logically align with your carefully constructed personal strategy. Longtime Dinar holders have already demonstrated an extraordinary degree of patience over the years. It is precisely that same deep-seated patience, now rigorously combined with logistical and strategic preparation, that will help them successfully navigate the complexities of moments like this one. Furthermore, active and balanced community engagement can prove to be highly valuable when approached correctly and responsibly. Trusted groups that focus heavily on the factual verification of information, the shared experience of compliant procedures, and calm, rational analysis can help holders stay informed without becoming completely overwhelmed by the constant flow of information. The key and operative word here is trusted. Any community or platform that primarily encourages excessive hype, promotes a sense of panic-driven urgency without solid facts, or promises guaranteed outcomes, must be approached with the utmost caution and deep skepticism. Genuine value in a community environment comes from the shared verification of factual procedures, not merely from shared, unchecked excitement. Listening carefully to experienced voices, while always maintaining a strong, independent exercise of your own reasoned judgment, creates a necessary balance during these highly fast-moving and critical situations. The global implications of the dinar's movement matter more profoundly than many individual holders might initially realize. Currency movements never occur in total isolation. They fundamentally affect global liquidity, they influence the broader confidence of international investors, and they modify the behavior of international trade. When the dinar shows clear and sustained signs of stability, increasing recognition, and alignment with global norms, it dramatically influences how Iraq is globally perceived on the economic stage. That improved perception, in turn, feeds directly back into positive market behavior, creating a beneficial cycle. Understanding this much bigger economic picture helps holders clearly see why a gradual, structured, and procedurally driven movement is almost always more deeply meaningful and ultimately more sustainable than any sudden, massive spike in valuation that is driven entirely by short-term market speculation. Considering practical scenarios helps to illustrate why the emphasis on preparation is so critical now. Imagine a situation where the rates move favorably and verifiable exchange. E-windows open, but you are still scrambling to properly verify your personal documentation or desperately trying to establish a legitimate banking path. Such preventable logistical delays could potentially cost you a crucial opportunity window. Conversely, imagine choosing to act too prematurely based on entirely incomplete information or a rumor, only to miss out on significantly better conditions that materialize just a short time later. Both of these hypothetical situations clearly underscore the importance of maintaining an essential balance. The overarching goal is to be fully ready and informed without rushing into action, and to be highly informed without becoming emotionally paralyzed by indecision or information overload. This balanced approach is the hallmark of a disciplined holder. The importance of safety simply cannot be overstated during periods like this. The incidence of financial scams reliably skyrockets whenever heightened attention, significant money converge. Unsolicited offers, any promises of a fast-tracked, secret, or privileged exchange, or any requests for sensitive personal information must be treated with immediate and extreme suspicion. Legitimate, regulated financial institutions do not operate through secrecy, high-pressure tactics, or manipulative urgency. They operate only through verifiable documentation, strict compliance, and absolute transparency. Protecting your sensitive, personal information is just as vital as physically protecting your currency holdings themselves. Market dynamics will inevitably continue to evolve throughout the rest of 2025. What truly matters is not the impossible task of perfectly predicting every single market move, but rather deeply understanding the overall direction of travel and preparing your personal logistics accordingly. The dinar's currently observed behavior clearly suggests a fundamental, long-term shift toward a greater, more robust alignment with established international financial norms and expectations. This critical process requires time, but every single verifiable step taken builds and reinforces essential international credibility. It is this established credibility that consistently supports sustainable value, rather than the temporary and volatile spikes, often driven by short-term speculation. Holders who grasp this fundamental distinction are far better positioned to act thoughtfully and strategically, rather than being forced to react impulsively to every transient headline. Another crucially important point is focused on effective expectation management. It is a fact that not every holder's outcome will be perfectly identical. Individual circumstances, the specific timing of action, and personal decisions will all play a definitive role in the final result. Comparing your individual situation and potential outcome to those of others can often create unnecessary stress, anxiety, and doubt. Focus instead with laser-like precision on what you can actually and fully control: your preparation, the quality of your information, and your emotional discipline. Successful financial moments consistently reward clarity of thought and action far more than they reward comparison or envy. As the external attention on the dinar continues to mount, So too does your personal responsibility as a holder. Being well-informed means maintaining a healthy critical skepticism, rigorously questioning all incoming information, meticulously verifying all claims and procedures, and forcefully resisting external pressure to act without a complete and clear understanding of the full situation. This disciplined, fact-based approach protects not only your potential financial gains, but equally important, your long-term peace of mind. Longtime Dinar holders have successfully navigated years of uncertainty and waiting. They did not wait all these years just to make a rushed, poorly informed, or emotional decision at the most critical moment of potential action. Staying firmly grounded honors the immense patience that has already been invested into this journey. The dinar's current and verifiable movement is being monitored globally, and this fact alone clearly marks a monumental shift from the currency's past performance. This sustained global attention brings with it undeniable opportunity, but it also carries inherent risks that must be responsibly managed. Successfully navigating both opportunity and risk requires a constant state of factual awareness and a clear, well-defined personal strategy. This is not a time to blindly chase sensational headlines or act on rumors. It is a time for understanding the clear, factual signals and being ready to respond appropriately when the verifiable conditions finally align with your detailed, personal plan. Preparation remains the absolute central and unifying theme of this entire discussion. Documentation readiness, banking compliance, strategic and flexible planning, and continuous, disciplined monitoring form the non-negotiable foundation of all safe and compliant action. These crucial preparatory steps are not dependent on predicting exact rates or perfect timelines. They are entirely dependent on personal discipline and adherence to a clear process. Those who commit to preparing early and thoroughly will significantly reduce their stress and maximize their flexibility when the moment for action finally arrives. Responsible community collaboration, when it is strictly grounded in the verification of facts and shared, compliant procedures, actively strengthens the holder's overall state of readiness. Sharing confirmed procedures, responsibly comparing notes, and mutually supporting. Calm, data-driven decision-making within a trusted circle creates a more protected and informed environment for all holders. No one is expected to navigate these complex waters completely alone, but it is equally important that no one ever surrenders their fundamental, critical judgment to the hype of the crowd. As we continue to move forward through the developments of 2025, emotional readiness remains just as powerfully important as logistical and financial readiness. The natural feelings of excitement, the potential for fear, and the constant hum of speculation will continue to predictably rise and fall. Staying fundamentally calm and centered allows you to clearly see and assess the situation when others around you may not be able to. Clear vision, especially in moments of great change and flux, consistently leads to better, more protective decisions. In final conclusion, the verifiable movement of the Iraqi dinar on the international Forex stage in 2025 represents a truly meaningful and potentially pivotal moment for long-time holders. It is not a guarantee of a specific outcome, and it should never be viewed as a shortcut to wealth. Rather, it is a significant structural shift that promises to reward preparation, patience, and a strategic mindset. By remaining factually informed, maintaining verifiable documentation, and staying emotionally grounded and disciplined, holders place themselves in the strongest and most protected possible position to intelligently navigate whatever comes next. This is a crucial moment to stay alert, not anxious, to be prepared, not pressured, and to remain calm, strategic, and factually confident as this extraordinary story continues to unfold and reveal itself. I understand you'd like me to rewrite the Dinar News transcript for your channel, Dinar Shift, adhering to your strict guidelines, including 25 paragraphs of approximately 150 words each, a gripping narrative, and maintaining a purely factual, neutral, and community guideline-safe tone. Dinar Shift. If you are a long-time holder of the Iraqi dinar, or if you have dedicated years to following this currency, holding a belief, and waiting for a moment when a significant and verifiable structural change would finally unfold, the information we are presenting today should be regarded as one of the most consequential updates you have ever heard. What is becoming visibly apparent throughout 2025 is not simply the product of rumor mills, nor is it the resurfacing of old speculative internet hype. We are moving beyond guesswork and focusing entirely on tangible movement, clear and structural signals, and verifiable foundational changes that are now actively shaping the dinar's position on the global foreign exchange, the Forex stage. This shift marks a profound difference for many dedicated individuals who have exercised remarkable patience for decades. Today, the core of the discussion has naturally evolved from a theoretical question: of if a change might ever occur to the entirely practical and immediate question of how one should strategically prepare and respond. It is crucial to absorb this entire report calmly, because understanding the current environment and how to navigate it methodically could be paramount to how this moment ultimately plays out for you personally. The Iraqi dinar has justly earned its designation as one of the most frequently watched and continuously debated national currencies in the contemporary financial landscape. For many years, the foundation of the holder community's position has rested upon the firm conviction that the dinar's value was not adequately reflective of the country's vast underlying economic strengths. This intrinsic value is tied directly to Iraq's world-class natural resource base, its considerable potential for economic diversification and growth, and its irreplaceable strategic importance within the Middle East region. The monumental oil reserves, the enormous ongoing national rebuilding efforts across its infrastructure, the development of new vital international trade and banking partnerships, and the essential domestic reforms within the Iraqi banking sector have always been the long-term fundamentals supporting this belief. Until very recently, however, these robust underlying elements had not consistently translated into clear, observable movement within the official and parallel Forex markets. This fundamental disconnection between verifiable economic reality and currency behavior is precisely what makes the current year of 2025 a period of such heightened scrutiny and attention. We are now observing new patterns of activity and receiving verifiable signals that strongly suggest the dinar is beginning to command a more professional and serious level of attention from established global financial mechanisms. It is important to contextualize this development. This is not an abrupt or sudden shift, but rather the visible culmination of incremental policy changes and long-term compliance efforts. However, this gradual process has now reached a visible point where its potential implications can no longer be responsibly overlooked by institutional investors, major banking entities, or the dedicated long-time holders who have always sought this kind of market validation. This is a moment of observable material progress that warrants disciplined study. A pivotal and demonstrable development in the dinar's trajectory is the increasingly formalized recognition and integration of the currency within sophisticated Forex-related data systems, and the high-level, compliant international banking conversation. This vital institutional recognition should never be misinterpreted as an assurance of instant guaranteed financial outcomes or the arrival of sudden risk-free wealth for every holder. Instead, its true significance lies in the fact that it verifiably signals the implementation of deep, structural, and sustainable changes within the Iraqi financial system. These operational changes include efforts to achieve stronger banking alignment, a demonstrably increased commitment to monetary discipline by the Central Bank of Iraq, and a more robust, audible integration with verifiable international regulatory standards. The mere willingness of major global financial actors to formally engage with the currency in this way is a key indicator of its improving credibility. When a national currency consistently begins to exhibit patterns of predictable, measured behavior in stark contrast to long periods of frustrating stagnation or volatility driven solely by speculation, it naturally and powerfully attracts the attention of major global financial institutions that previously maintained a cautious distance. For those who hold the dinar, this institutional interest is exceptionally significant, because enduring value is not something that is conjured merely through abstract hope or wishful thinking. Sustainable, verifiable value is generated only at the moment when the international market begins the active process of recognizing and definitively responding to verifiable economic and financial reforms in a measurable and sustained manner. This movement from silence to measurable activity is the most compelling story of the dinar in this period. In essence, what we are observing is the replacement of a long period of market silence with verifiable, observable movement. For many years, the dinar appeared almost entirely frozen, providing very little visible, real-time change for holders to reliably track and analyze. Now, measurable fluctuations and adjustments are being observed and consistently recorded, and these movements are logically creating a renewed and necessary focus on personal timing, strategic preparation, and the development of a rational, disciplined strategy. This change in the market environment emphasizes the need for an informed approach. It must be clearly understood that this new environment does not mean that every individual holder is suddenly entering a period of guaranteed or immediate prosperity. The central message is that the underlying financial environment is visibly transforming, and market history demonstrates that these changing environments consistently yield the best results for those who approach them with careful, strategic preparation, rather than those who are compelled to react to events impulsively or emotionally. Grasping this crucial difference is paramount, because history is replete with examples where emotional, heat-of-the-moment financial decisions led directly to significant regret and missed opportunities. The emphasis must remain on a clear, logical, and composed assessment of the facts. It is highly informative to examine precisely why the community of long-time holders is demonstrating such an acute focus right now. A large segment of this community initially acquired their Dinar holdings many years ago at significantly low values, often during periods marked by profound regional instability or geopolitical uncertainty. Their investment premise was the powerful belief that Iraq's eventual inevitable long-term economic recovery would, at some point, finally be reflected in a corresponding upward trajectory for its national currency. For a prolonged period, that foundational belief felt distant, purely theoretical, and fundamentally uncertain to many. In 2025, the internal dialogue has decisively shifted to a focus on potential outcomes that are demonstrably linked to current reforms, moving away from purely distant theoretical scenarios. The sheer scale of holdings often involved means that even relatively modest, fractional changes in the dinar's official valuation could have profound, life-altering financial effects for these dedicated holders. This is the legitimate, factual context for the discussion of significant financial possibilities. But this same potential also necessitates that an attitude of financial discipline and grounded realism must take precedence over any kind of unchecked excitement or speculation. The factor of timing assumes an outsized significance within the framework of Forex-related opportunities. Currency movements adhere to their own market logic and do not wait for every single participant to achieve a perfect state of readiness. Operational windows can often open and close with startling speed, sometimes over a matter of hours or just a few days. This core market reality makes a methodical, procedural preparation far more valuable than attempting to engage in the risky game of rate prediction. It is not necessary to accurately guess the exact future exchange rates to be ready to act compliantly. What is required is clear, verifiable documentation, established and compliant banking relationships, and a meticulously detailed executable plan. Countless opportunities throughout financial history have been lost, not because the involved parties were fundamentally wrong about the underlying value of an asset, but because they were logistically and procedurally unprepared when the actual moment for compliant action was required. This crucial historical lesson applies with specific relevance to every dinar holder today. The initial steps of preparedness must begin with a comprehensive and clear understanding of exactly what you legally possess. This means meticulously verifying your physical notes or documented electronic dinar holdings, ensuring that the currency is unquestionably legitimate, properly and securely accounted for, and safely stored in compliance with all relevant regulations. Furthermore, preparation mandates a precise and factually verified understanding of the locations, institutions, and specific procedures through which any potential exchange can be legally, safely, and compliantly executed. It is imperative to avoid the trap of relying on unverified channels, unchecked sensational claims, or promotional guarantees found on social media platforms. Reliance on unverified sources can expose holders to unacceptable levels of unnecessary risk and potential loss, particularly during a period of heightened international attention. The probability of misinformation and fraudulent activities always increases rapidly when both attention and the potential for financial gain intersect. Remaining strictly grounded in verifiable, authorized processes is not a matter of fear or excessive caution. It is the responsible act of protecting one's position and assets during a highly active period where speculative excitement has the potential to dangerously compromise sound, logical judgment. The constant monitoring of the broader, verifiable Forex environment represents another non-negotiable step in this process. You are not required to become a professional day trader to stay sufficiently informed. What is essential is maintaining an active state of awareness and vigilance. By consistently observing trends, grasping the verifiable general direction of the currency, and accurately recognizing when markets are demonstrably active, you empower yourself to respond strategically rather than being forced to react in a state of panic or confusion. Verifiable Forex movement is influenced by a highly complex set of international factors, including shifts in global confidence toward Iraq, the presence of clear and positive economic signals, and measurable changes in institutional behavior and engagement. When these foundational factors align in a consistent and sustained way, any observable currency movement becomes significantly more meaningful and durable. This is the core reason why many of the most experienced and successful holders consistently recommend an approach that combines long-term patience with an active, high state of logistical readiness. They are not rushing into premature action. but they are absolutely not ignoring the verified signals that are currently manifesting in the market. The development of a clear, disciplined strategy is the single most important factor that separates the realization of genuine opportunity from the potential for chaos, regret, and loss. A robust strategy involves a predetermined understanding of how much of your holding you might consider exchanging, the verifiable conditions that would logically trigger your decision to act, and the specific data points that would prompt a move. Equally important is defining what specific actions or conditions would definitively trigger a decision not to act. Emotional or reactive decisions often pressure people into liquidating their entire position at once, without fully considering the consequences or the potential for phased action. A calm, well-articulated strategy provides the essential flexibility to move in calculated, smaller stages if conditions warrant it, to responsibly reassess the market environment as it evolves, and to protect your assets from the negative impacts of any sudden, unexpected shifts. In fast-moving Forex-related moments, a disciplined, reasoned flexibility, consistently paired with an ironclad commitment to process, is often far more valuable and protective than attempting to prioritize PU. Speed alone. The ability to pivot based on verified facts rather than speculation is the key advantage. Banking readiness constitutes a foundational and essential component of this entire strategic equation. Any legitimate high-value exchange process is inherently bound by strict compliance requirements, demanding meticulous verification of identity and the flawless production of required documentation. Banks and financial institutions operate under extremely stringent domestic and international regulations, and this regulatory pressure only intensifies during periods when a specific currency is receiving heightened, focused attention. Incomplete documentation, an unclear account status, or a desperate last-minute effort to organize paperwork can create significant logistical delays that complicate or even entirely thwart an exchange. This is the precise reason why experienced holders begin their comprehensive preparations well in advance of any required action. They proactively confirm their bank account status, ensure full compliance with all necessary procedures, and verify that every piece of required documentation is perfectly in place before the actual moment for action arrives. While preparation cannot guarantee a positive financial outcome, a fundamental lack of preparation almost guarantees frustration, missed windows of opportunity, and significant logistical hurdles. The time to organize is now, while the environment is still calm enough for methodical action. The concept of urgency in this context must be correctly interpreted. It signifies awareness and readiness, not panic. The dinar's current movement is verifiably drawing the attention of global financial institutions, governments, and influential international financial actors, not just individual private holders. This elevated level of external attention fundamentally alters the collective. Market psychology. Investor confidence in the Iraqi reform process builds, speculation naturally increases, and overall market volatility has the potential to rise. During these highly active periods, unverified rumors and claims can spread with exceptional speed. Some will inevitably sound highly convincing, while others may promise impossible shortcuts or specialized, secret access. Staying strictly grounded in verified, fact-based information is the most reliable defense against making decisions based on financial noise rather than on objective, actionable facts. The cultivation of strong emotional control is consistently one of the most powerful and often underrated determinants of successful financial outcomes. The common fear of missing out, FOMO, can irrationally push people to act prematurely or recklessly. Conversely, an intense fear of loss can cause people to completely freeze and fail to capitalize on valid opportunities. Neither of these emotional extremes is conducive to rational, protective action. Calm, methodological, and data-driven decision-making provides the clarity necessary to assess the information accurately and act decisively only when the verifiable conditions align perfectly with your pre-established, disciplined strategy. Longtime Dinar holders have already demonstrated a commendable degree of patience over the years. That same deep-seated, enduring patience, now rigorously combined with advanced logistical preparation, is the essential formula that will enable them to successfully navigate the complexities of this evolving moment. A responsible, structured engagement with a trusted community can also prove highly beneficial, provided it is approached with the correct discipline. Trusted groups that dedicate their focus to the verification of facts, the responsible sharing of compliant experiences, and calm, rational analysis can help holders remain informed without becoming completely overwhelmed by the volume of information. The absolute key distinction here is trusted. Any community or platform that primarily promotes reckless hype pushes a sense of artificial urgency without factual justification, or attempts to promise guaranteed financial outcomes must be approached with the deepest level of caution and critical inquiry. Genuine, lasting value comes from the shared verification of necessary procedures, not from the superficial sharing of speculative excitement. The global implications of the dinar's ongoing movement are far-reaching and critically important. Currency movements are never isolated domestic events. They exert a clear influence on international liquidity, affect overall investor confidence in the region, and directly impact global trade behavior. When the dinar shows clear, verifiable signs of stability, international recognition, and procedural alignment, it significantly influences the global economic perception of Iraq. That increasingly positive perception, in turn, feeds directly back into a more favorable market behavior toward the currency. Understanding this larger, interconnected economic picture helps holders grasp why a structured, gradual, and procedurally compliant movement is fundamentally more meaningful and sustainable than any sudden, short-lived spike in valuation driven purely by speculation. The consideration of practical scenarios serves to underscore why preparation is so paramount. Imagine a situation where favorable exchange rates emerge and verifiable exchange windows open, but you are still struggling to correctly verify critical documentation or establish a legitimate compliant banking path. Such entirely preventable delays can definitively cost you the opportunity. Conversely, imagine acting impulsively or prematurely based on an unverified rumor, only to later discover that significantly better, more stable conditions were just around the corner. Both of these situations powerfully illustrate the necessity of achieving a working balance. The core objective remains to be fully prepared and ready to act, but without rushing into reckless action, and to be deeply informed without being paralyzed by indecision or fear. This measured approach is the definitive goal for every discipline holder. The emphasis on safety and security cannot be overstated in a period of heightened market activity. Financial scams and fraudulent activities consistently proliferate whenever attention and large sums of money intersect. Any unsolicited offers, particularly those promising fast-tracked exchanges, privileged access, or demanding sensitive personal information, must be treated with the highest degree of extreme caution and immediate suspicion. Legitimate, regulated financial institutions and authorized exchanges operate entirely through established documentation, regulatory compliance, and complete transparency. Protecting your sensitive, personal data is just as vital as protecting the physical currency you hold. Market dynamics will continue their natural evolution throughout 2025 and beyond. The most important focus is not on attempting the impossible task of perfectly predicting every single market fluctuation, but on clearly understanding the verifiable direction of travel and proactively preparing all necessary logistics accordingly. The documented behavior of the dinar strongly indicates a structural shift toward a greater alignment with established international financial norms. This essential process demands time and consistent effort, but every single verifiable step taken serves to build and reinforce the currency's fundamental, long-term credibility. It is this increasing credibility that provides the long-term support for sustainable value, rather than the transient, temporary spikes that are purely driven by speculative forces. Holders who grasp this foundational concept are positioned to act thoughtfully and methodically, avoiding the pitfalls of reactive, impulsive decisions. A further critical point involves the necessity of expectation management. It is a fundamental reality that not every holder's outcome will be perfectly identical. Individual personal circumstances, the specific timing of one's actions, and personal decisions made along the way all play a decisive and complex role in the final result. Focusing solely on what you can control, your level of preparation, the quality of your verified information, and your emotional discipline is far more productive than engaging in stressful, fruitless comparisons with others. Successful navigation of financial moments consistently rewards clarity of purpose more than any comparison. As the external attention on the dinar continues to rise, so too does the individual holder's responsibility to act with discipline. Being truly informed means maintaining a strong internal system of critical inquiry, rigorously questioning all claims, verifying all procedures, and resisting external pressure to act without a complete and clear understanding. This disciplined approach protects not only potential financial gains, but, equally important, your long-term peace of mind. Long-time holders have already demonstrated years of profound patience. The goal is not to jeopardize that patience by making rushed or ill-informed decisions at the most potentially critical moment. Staying firmly grounded in verified fact honors the commitment already invested. The dinar's ongoing movement is now a globally watched event, and that fact alone distinguishes this moment from previous cycles. This focused attention brings verifiable opportunity, but it also carries inherent measurable risk. Successfully navigating both the opportunity and the risk requires both active awareness and a comprehensive strategy. This is not about chasing fleeting, sensational headlines or acting on unverified social media chatter. It is about understanding the clear, verifiable signals being broadcast by the market and being prepared to respond appropriately and compliantly when the verifiable conditions align with your detailed, personal plan. Preparation remains the absolute, central, and most critical theme. Meticulous documentation, complete banking readiness, disciplined strategic planning, and continuous, reasoned monitoring form the robust foundation for safe, compliant action. These fundamental preparatory steps are entirely independent of any specific future rate or timeline. They depend purely on individual discipline and adherence to process. Those who commit to preparing early will actively reduce their personal stress and maximize their financial and logistical flexibility when the operational moments finally arise. Responsible community collaboration. When it is strictly grounded in the verification of facts and the shared knowledge of compliant procedures, actively strengthens the holder's overall readiness and resilience. Sharing conf. Armed and verified procedures, responsibly comparing notes, and mutually supporting calm, data-driven decision-making within a trusted environment creates a safer, more protected framework for holders. No one is expected to navigate these complex financial waters entirely alone, but it is equally essential that no one ever completely surrenders their individual critical judgment to the collective hype. As we progress, emotional readiness is just as vital as logistical readiness. Excitement, fear, and speculative noise will continue their predictable cycle. Remaining calm allows you to maintain the clear vision necessary to make superior decisions when others around you may be struggling to see through the fog of emotion. In final summary, the ongoing verifiable movement of the Iraqi dinar on the Forex stage in 2025 represents a meaningful and potentially transformative moment for long-time holders who have demonstrated immense patience. It should not be misinterpreted as a guarantee of a specific outcome or a magical shortcut. Instead, it is a significant structural shift that promises to reward methodical preparation, enduring patience, and a disciplined strategic mindset. By consistently staying informed with verified facts, ensuring all logistics are compliant, and remaining emotionally grounded, holders place themselves in the strongest and most protected possible position to intelligently and compliantly navigate what comes next. This is a crucial, fact-driven moment to stay alert, not anxious, to be prepared, not pressured, and to remain calm, strategic, and confidently disciplined as the story of the dinar continues to unfold.